All right, so we get cool here with Adam from Oceano. How you doing, bro?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, man. Good. So you excited for these upcoming tour dates?
I am. It's gonna be nice to finally start the next chapter and get a lot of things out that have been waiting.
So this is going to be the 15th anniversary of Depths, man. How exciting is that?
So we actually just finished the 15 year of depth. So we're actually transitioning now into 10 shows that are more leaning into kind of like the new music. We're gonna be playing some more of the more recent material, things like that. But the 15-year anniversary shows were really cool. A lot of old school fans came out. Like a lot of people talking about hadn't seen the band in maybe 3, 7, 10 years and things like that. So it's cool to get them out, but I'm definitely excited for the new chapter of things.
So with the new chapters, that means are you going to be playing new music on these upcoming shows?
Yes, we are. We're going to be playing a good amount of new stuff, and then the last two albums, which never really got a lot of spotlight because we were always playing older stuff in the mix. So now since we're past the 15-year anniversary, we're going to start transitioning out a lot of those songs and then bring in a lot of the last couple albums and then into the new stuff.
So is it going to be the first time some of these fans heard these new tracks, son?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's gonna be the first time we're gonna be debuting some things.
That's got to be pretty
And
exciting.
some of the old stuff too, some of the more recent material, lots of the stuff we just never played before at all. So it's cool. Live in a live setting, I should say.
So how do you go ahead and balance out a set list like that? I mean, obviously the fans want to hear they're actually going to probably want to hear everything because you haven't put out new music in such a long time for them to have
Mhm.
an opportunity to hear the new stuff, but they also want to hear the hits. So how do you balance everything out?
Yeah. One of the ways that I like to go about it is I pay close attention just to what the fans seem to like the most, whether it be paying attention to the crowds when we do play certain songs or from songs from certain albums. I'm also keeping an eye on streaming numbers and things like that. So whatever the most popular songs are, we usually try and lean into playing a good majority of those, and then sneaking in a couple, like some of the stuff that the really OG fans might really get a kick out of, trying to slip in a little bit of that. But definitely just paying attention to really what the fans like of the stuff that we create is a big factor in it.
Now, when you started off all these years ago, do you think you have reached the level of success that you wanted to?
No, and I'm always hungry. There's not really a stopping point. There never really was like a goalpost, especially getting into this. So it's always been a full circle moment, especially in the last few years, just kind of looking at how it started after you're doing those 15-year shows and looking back on it all. And it didn't necessarily fly by, but now that it's been 15 plus years of doing it, it's surreal to look back and think how it all started and how far it's come.
Now, are you glad that you stuck with it for all this time? Because I know there was times where you like the birth of your son, you were thinking about maybe taking some time off, things like that.
Yeah, well, I actually did technically take the time off. It always was just a matter of the demand that the industry side of it, whether they have some want to admit it or not, that have been behind it, especially with this band, the pressure to continue to push it to the limit while not necessarily focusing so much on the human side of what happens when you're an artist touring constantly and how life changes and evolves, especially when you're hitting like a stride of hype. And feel like not necessarily from my end, but it's definitely early in the band, just a lot of people very focused on, we have to build on this, we have to make it bigger, we have to make it bigger, more money. And that's all great, but there is a way to find balance to that. And one of the biggest ways that I was able to achieve that was basically to accept that some people were going to leave, not so much the members, but the teams that we've had in the past that have helped us out and managed us and things like that. Just realizing that sometimes it's their time to leave, and then also just becoming more of a lead with the band when it comes to who is our team and being more involved in hand picking those people so that we do find that happy medium between life off the road and on the road and creating for things that we enjoy versus things that we might be contractually obligated to focus more on at certain times.
Who is the what's the current lineup of the band? Is it the same that's been there for the past few years, or is there any changes or anything like that?
The only thing that's different is we just don't have a permanent drummer, but we've definitely been we're always prospecting. It's just more about when this lifestyle and the demands are met and also they can handle it. It's like a nonstop thing even in the downtime. So it's been the same guys and last you know longer than I can remember there being anybody else. So it's been the same guys, and me, Scott, and Chris have been holding it down. And sometimes some guys, like Chris, sometimes has to work. It's understandable. I think that's the difference between this band and a lot of bands, especially now, is as we've gotten older, we've realized that you don't necessarily have to burn bridges because of schedule conflicts, or like if you have a good team around you, it's better that you bend and work with them than break off good connections and good working relationships.
Now, who do you have on drums for the tour? Is it going to be the same person that just did the last few shows, or you got someone different for these upcoming shows?
No, it's been the same. It's been the same for a bit now, and for what we have coming up, it'll be this. It'll be the same too. Like to give. We don't really like to shake things up. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's what I've learned with this.
Now, with the music industry changing the way it is, and especially after the lockdown and COVID, like everything changed so much. Do you putting out new music going forward? Is it going to be more of a single platform like it was after the lockdown, or is it? You have any like EPs, LPs? What do you plan on doing?
Well, we do have an album coming out. That's the soonest thing, but I'd like to look at it like a hybrid approach where there'll be plenty of lead in with music before the album is released, to where, as I've told our fans, they really don't even need to worry about when the album's released. Just pre-order and they'll get plenty of a sampling of what the album will be like leading up to its release. So it'll just be a matter of buy into it with that first pre-order or reserve and whatnot. You'll get your couple songs for sure, and then before you know it, you'll have a whole album, sitting on your whatever, your iTunes, your Apple Music, your Spotify. It'll be there. It'll be super seamless and quick, and it's just a way to kind of blend both. Because I do like the a la carte type of nature that music roll has have become. It's a little. It can be if your creativity is stifled. I think it can be a hindrance if you can't keep up with the demand, which is almost whenever you can give new music, they're ready. So if you can't keep up with the creativity, which is not a problem with us, then that might bother you. But I really like it. It allows our brains to expand and grow. If we just want to work on one song, or we want to work on an EP, an album, we have a lot more space and room and flexibility to just create how we want to create now, as opposed to a label just beating you up the side the head with we need an album, and release it every year, 2 years, whatever be the case. Now it's a little bit more, I think, intimate. You can do what you want, and the fans are about it.
See, the reason I phrase it that way is because I know you've been teasing the fans for a while now about a new album coming out. That's why I figured maybe it might be singles leading up to something, and finally the collection comes out. When you have a long time and you have stuff recorded like that, is that a good thing or a bad thing? What I mean by that is, if you wait that long, you might hear these tracks later and be like, you know what, I don't want to include this anymore. I want to put something new in there instead.
Yeah, I think for this album, that's the beauty of it, is because we took our time with it. There's not one thing that we listened to and we're like, we should have did this. We did all that. We took enough time to let it sit and it grow on us, let us dissect it after we thought we were finished and dive back in. There was a lot of just diving back into the project and really dissecting it, you know, taking months, literally months away from it, and then listening to it again, and then having realizations of how to perfect it until we got to the point where now Scott and I, we just enjoy listening to it. It's definitely our best work as far as musically. I think the vision of the band that I've had for a long time is finally achieved in the sound, and it's going to transfer over pretty disgustingly in the live sense, especially as we start playing these new songs.
Now, see, like for a band that you've been established, you've been doing this for almost 20 years with them. You have to, when you go ahead and put out new work, it's got to be something that you really want out there anymore. Because it sucks when you see a band that just throws something out just because they feel like throwing something out. You know what I mean? I mean, you have enough fan base, followers, and hit songs where you didn't have to put out new music if you don't want to. You can go ahead and tour and play the same shows. You know what I mean? And without going ahead and adding something new in. So it's got to be something that you guys really want to have out there to put it out there, right?
Oh yeah, definitely agree with that. It came from a matter of just I I'm very good at seeing the potential in people and team building, and what I saw in the team that I have with the band that is Oceano is what I knew from doing bands prior is what you need is you need, I believe, about 2, 3, maybe 4 album cycles to really dial in a project sound. If you are trying to find a signature sound, it's going to take a bit. You need to have the same people writing together. You can have outside people come in and collaborate with those core group members, but uh, you got to have the same guys collaborating on a team in any sense, whether it be with sports, music, any other type of job, industry. If you can keep the same people and they all mesh and they work well together and they're productive, you don't want to break that up. You just got to stay consistent with it and let them reach their truest potential together, which takes time.
Now, like I said, you're going on almost 20 years. What do you think for the future of the band? I mean, that style of music, as much as you put out there on stage, things like that. I mean, when you're, in your late 60s, 70s, man, you still think you're going to be out there rocking, and you think the fans would still be trying to mosh without breaking a hip?
Uh, I don't know. I haven't ever thought that far. I don't personally think that at 60 I'll have the interest. Probably not even at 50. I don't think I'll have the interest to do it as frequently on the touring side. But as far as for the creative side and the music side, I think Oceano has established itself and including in my life as a certain type of creative outlet, and it spans a few other realms of creativity too. So like if I'm inspired in that direction of music and art and things like that and the outlet that it provides, if I'm still inspired, I could see myself still creating for the specific project. But it doesn't really matter to me so much if we never toured again. It's more about that I always can create. So that's always going to be on the table.
Now, with this day and age, you almost have to tour in order for this to be a career. I mean, because people aren't buying music as much as they were. I mean, kids these days feel entitled to the music coming out where you flick a switch, there's a goddamn different app that's going to let you listen to your stuff for free. And in their mind, they're like, why should I have to do this? They're putting it out for us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the beauty about this band this has never been, we've never been desperate to make this band do anything more than just see how far we could take it. All of my dudes have always, myself included, we've always had other goals, aspirations, passions, hobbies, and things that interest us and bring us happiness outside of music, to where even starting out, this was not a first option, and this definitely was never a last option. So we pretty much create with kind of this impunity to a lot of the pressure I think that occurs and that sometimes experience for a lot of bands, especially starting out young, when you really want to make it work because you do want to make a career out of it. It just kind of happened that Oceano did become a source of income for us. And whether we had, because there was plenty of years where we didn't make any money to barely anything at all, and didn't really change the fact that, for instance, like one of our most celebrated albums was our first album, and I didn't get paid. I still don't get paid a thing off that album, and I really don't care that I don't. I'm just happy that I influenced the culture of music, and that was my offering, and I definitely plan to do more of it.
See, now with that being said, the way you stated everything, with you guys having other options, so this means that the band is something that you guys all love to do, and that's why it's the best possible music and experience that you could put out. Is that right?
Yeah, so we've definitely fallen in love with it more, especially me being able to have those breaks away from it, and not get burnt out. And that's something I realized that's super important. Even if I can personally go, a whole year on the road, which I still have that in me as needed, but I'm more concerned with the guys and the team that I have with the band, that they also enjoy it too. So I always keep them in mind first. And so it's never a matter of pressuring of, we have to do this to stay relevant, or we have to release an album or a song at this point. It's more about, as long as everyone's happy and still enjoying it, then it'll continue.
So when you're planning tour dates from here on out, do you prefer like short little runs then, do like maybe a month here, take time off, then jump back on the road? Or do you want it like when it's a new album coming out, do you plan on going harder? I mean, usually you get a tour for almost a whole year when you put out an album.
Yeah, we don't really do the year thing anymore. We did it a lot when we were earlier in, especially when there was at least that pressure to tour as much as humanly possible. But we try to do more impactful stuff. And I've definitely changed our approach into more focusing on what the fans enjoy and what the fans, I try and think more as a fan of Oceano more than an actual member of it, and taking the input that the fans, I'm still very active and present with communicating with our fans, so I get a good idea of what I think they'll enjoy. And one of my things that I've kind of realized is, if we play 10 shows, or we play 30 shows in a row, it doesn't necessarily matter to anyone more than the people who are making money off us, because they make more money on a constant basis if we do longer runs or more frequent runs. But as far as from the fans' perspective, it doesn't really matter if Oceano plays Chicago in September, but then we promise that we're also going to play in, let's just call it New York, in December. As long as they're getting a chance to see us and something to look forward to, that's what's more important when it comes to catering to the fans. But if we're catering to the industry, of course they're going to want us to tour nonstop, be just constantly active and pumping out more opportunities for them to make money off of us. But we take that all out of the equation as a fan and as a member of the band. As long as I get to play for the people that want to see us when it comes to live, doesn't matter when that is in the year, then that's what I'm happy with.
How many tracks are going to be on the new album?
I don't want to say, I don't want to spoil the surprise.
How many do you plan on playing on the new shows?
The new shows can expect three
Do you plan,
songs off the album.
do you have any videos or anything that's going to tie in with the tour, or when do you plan on getting out for everyone to hear?
We've got some. It's very close. That's the most I want to say, because it's very close, and so close that I don't know when this is going to drop. It might even be soon by the time this drops.
So by the year's end, we should at least get one song out.
Oh, you'll have way more than that by year's end.
All right, cool. Now,
Plenty.
another thing I want to talk to you about is when you're getting older, you hear different bands, there's singers, voices change, things like that. You have one of the most unique vocals in the genre. Do you ever feel getting older? Do you feel a change in your voice or anything like that?
No, it's very wild to say, but I even did a little bit of an assessment of myself in general. I'd like to just check in with my body, how I feel, and things. I feel as if I'm 27 years old again, both in physical sense. Meant I feel a lot smarter than 27, that's for sure. But and also in vocal health and strength, and my knowledge exceeds when I was 27 doing this. So, but as far as everything, I feel like I can outdo young Adam any day of the week. I'm running circles around it, and I got to really prove that to myself when we did these Depths shows, the Depths 15-year anniversary shows, because that's my first time playing a lot of those songs in almost 15 years. So um, some of those I never even had played, besides the one time we tried them out live when they were first written. And so to be able to dive back into those songs and to review that footage and things like that and just affirm what I was confident in, I definitely can firmly say I'm getting better. But it's because I'm still a student to the game. I'm a fan of the music and the genres. A new genre pops up all the time by just one band doing something special and unique, different from the rest. So I'm always paying attention to what is happening in music as a whole, not just heavy music. So it just allows me to keep learning and growing and broaden my influences outside of the genre.
Now you're a bigger dude. I mean, you're in great shape. I know you have a wrestling background. Do you do anything like jujitsu or anything like that? I know a lot of bands are into that now. Are you into MMA or any
I I do a
grappling?
little bit of grappling stuff. I'm not trying to get into the octagon or anything like that, but I do like to keep a very strict workout regimen and diet, and just keep up on general fitness. And haven't really had the time yet, but more or less when I have the time and when I can shift into that season of life, I have more so considered, being like an influence in coaching and like hand to hand grappling and wrestling and things like that with the kids and stuff like that. That's something that eventually I hope to get to, but right now, we're in this Oceano grind with the new music. But I would like to get back on the mat in some way, but I don't want to not until it's time. I don't want to sustain any unnecessary damage to my vessel.
No, I just seen that Alex Terrible announced that he's going to be into bare knuckle fighting. So I don't see anything like that in your future.
No, no, uh, I've been a little reckless with my body in my younger years, and I'd rather definitely keep the health that I have. I don't want to shorten this the health that I have.
So with these tour dates that are coming up, when's the tour going to kick off?
It's yet to be announced, so I can't necessarily say that yet. But we're gonna have a few. We have these June shows, to string of 10 shows. We're playing a couple festivals on that, and then it'll be just a couple months, and then we'll be rolling into all the other stuff. It's gonna be very. We're right here at basically the cusp of it all, where it's just a little bit away.
You everything picked out, like the support and everything like that. Then
Oh yeah, our year is pretty much planned out. There might be some pop up things, but as far as for touring and shows, the big stuff, the longer stuff, it's all locked in.
now, life on the road is you guys got a tour bus?
We're gonna be working on doing a bigger vehicle for this the when we support the album and then all that stuff that we're gonna do for that. But we've been keeping it pretty simple with lately the last couple runs we've done because they're shorter runs, so it doesn't make sense to do a bigger vehicle on that, with the fuel driver and things like that. So we've been doing just vans, and it's a lot easier too because we all like to do our own things, and sometimes it makes it a little harder when you're in the bigger vehicle and you have to kind of work around the rules and the things that come with that, such as sometimes it has to be a lot earlier calls to get to the vehicle to leave for the next place because you have to allot for all the different variables. So it's cool to come back around to doing a van and the trailer life. But we travel super light. It's close to almost needless for us to even have a trailer these days with how we're running things with our in the tech department now. So um, it's nice to travel light in general. And I like it on all, whether it's flying, driving. And I've hung out with a lot of EDM producers and DJs and stuff a lot lately. And that's what really got me really into the idea of traveling lighter. Most of those guys are flying to the majority of their dates. And they do that on a regular basis. That's how they tour. That seems a lot easier, especially when you're only doing a short amount of shows. So the next step, I think, away from that would be to just hop in a small vehicle and just, get hotels. That's what we do. And we don't, I try to put my guys in the nicest hotels that we can manage. And it's almost like a little vacation, every day or two, we nice hotel, give us a green room at the venue. It's not too much to worry about.
So I know you can't say the tour dates. I know you can't say the album title or anything like that, but when merchandising gets tied into the album and the tour like that, when this tour kicks off, will your merch give a clue of what maybe album cover, album title, anything like that? Will everything be ready to go around that time or no?
I think that if anyone is a fan of this band and they haven't noticed yet how deep it really goes with this band beyond just the music, uh they haven't realized that yet, then they're on their way to becoming a really true deep fan of the band. But now they know. It's probably one of the most fun things to do with this art for me is not just the music itself. It's everything. It's You can encapsulate so many different types of creativity from different influences, including such as, if anyone's a video game fan and if you know the true deep history of video games, Easter eggs. And so to be able to incorporate a lot of different influences from my life into the actual music and build it into its own universe and also live it and breathe it as well in certain ways is really cool. It's very connective. And so there's always things that people should be paying attention to when it comes to Oceano if they are an avid fan.
Why don't you guys have a website?
Actually, it's being built right now, which is
Okay.
exciting. Yeah, it's very exciting. It's going to definitely add another level to the immersion.
So you guys were always, into the social media thing. I remember back in the day, you had MySpace was big with you guys, So
Yeah,
now when you search it up, I see the Facebook and you have is there an Instagram too, or
yeah, we have Facebook, Instagram, and X, and soon the website, which hopefully can integrate some of those things into one place, so people just don't want to be dulled down with a lot of the things that happen in those spaces. They can just have one hub for everything we're doing and move on with their day.
so in the meantime, people want to pre-order this album. They want to figure out when these tour dates are happening. They want to buy the tickets, but where do they go? What do they do for everything?
So I would encourage them to go to any of our platforms that I said. So X, Instagram, or Facebook. We're very active on there. We have all of our links and things to tickets, and we update people. You can also sign up for a mailing list to request us to come to your city, which we take that into account and we pay attention to that as well if we haven't gotten there. And it'll also allow you to get updates directly on everything that we're doing. I would say next from that is if you like any other bands from Sumerian Records, or if you just want to follow Sumerian Records on their platforms and keep an eye on them as well, that's the label that we're on. So between all of that, there's going to be a lot of updates coming soon, and we'll all be on top of it.
Awesome, man. Well, it's been a very secretive chat, but it's been an informative chat. So,
Yeah, thanks for asking some rad questions.
all right, bro. Have a good one, man.
All right, you too.
Take care.